I'm sitting here in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, watching the news, and this report comes on about a town where the citizens are taking back their city because it's been overcome with prostitution. There's just hoes up and down the street all day long in certain neighborhoods.
In the same area code.
Yeah, so I was watching this, I was like, oh, this is fucked up. I wonder where this is. In Vallejo, California. I'm like, oh, goddamn.
Wow.
But the citizens had to, the police, when the city declared bankruptcy, it's because a whole bunch of like the emergency response departments like fire and police officers, they just decided to retire in droves. So because they were drawing upon those retirement pensions or whatever, the city had to pay up. So the city ended up declaring bankruptcy. Now, according to my dad, there was a lot of fuckery going on and mismanagement prior to that, because according to him, the mob ran our city. I don't know, but my dad didn't know those streets.
Your dad is probably right.
Yeah. So
those are the people that know, because they were probably like, I mean, you know, because I helped them a little bit, so I know.
Yeah, because I was involved in this little.
I mean, I know, because I used to go tell a dude that he had 48 hours, and you know, then he didn't. So I you know, I broke a couple of femurs.
You know, I've been wanting to interview my dad just to be like, Dad, just sit down and tell me everything that's happened to you. And I know I would be fucking shocked. Like,
best rando episode ever. Like, what does this have to do with Rappin Atlanta? Absolutely nothing. But it's on our feed and you're gonna listen.
Man, I remember when he used to tell me about like, he told one of my in-laws, like, oh yeah, because I used to fight chickens. See, what you got to do is do this to them. And she was just like, what?
Now, my stupid ass pictured him like suiting up against a chicken for 1 second.
No.
For a split second, I was like, oh, okay, no, cockfighting. Okay.
Oh, yeah, only the chickens are fighting.
I was like, wait, why? Like in this corner. Carl McCluck. Welcome to Rappin Atlanta. I'm Mita Sharice.
And I'm Nikki.
And in this podcast, we have a frank, honest, and open conversation about the FX show Atlanta.
We have noticed that there are similar features in each show, and during our discussion, we offer our impressions on what those features are. There's a That's So Atlanta moment in each episode that most clearly and accurately depicts the spirit or quirk that is Atlanta and life in the American South.
Dariusisms highlight the special flavor the character Darius brings to the show because he is easily one of the most layered, complex, and compelling characters on television.
There always seems to be a mystical element or some strange thing that happens beyond all logical reason and sometimes scientific explanation. We've all experienced those kinds of moments.
And finally, the SGR moment is very plainly the moment in each show when shit got real and we are reminded that life is not a game and desperation has the power to motivate any and every possible action.
Today, we're reviewing Wigga Poor Wigga, which was directed by Donald Glover and written by Donald Glover and Stefani Robinson. When a Black businessman and philanthropist announces he intends to pay college tuition exclusively for Black graduating seniors, a white presenting biracial teen is suddenly forced to confront his understanding and beliefs about race and culture. If you're one of those people who's dependent upon categorizing people by race in order to understand how to perceive them, you know, how to rationalize your existence with theirs, you will be fucking confused. Because there's the baseball medals. So you're like, oh, okay, but then Colin Kaepernick also, you know, played baseball and was a star. Then there's him saying the N-word and his voice sounds like a Black teen's. But then you see this poster of Post Malone and I'm like, what? Then the multicolored Nike shoe was like, oh, well, it's a brother, you know? But then you go back to like the Logan Paul tour? And I'm just like, what? So then they show a poster of Young Buck, and I'm like, how random is Young Buck? Like,
yeah, and like you're saying all those things, and I never thought, oh, it's a brother. I immediately, and this is kind of funny because what did I keep referring to the entire time that you were here? Oh, it's a dude from Herrero. I was like, oh, it's a white boy. But he hangs around Black people. I never thought he was Black.
See, I thought he was Black because then even
I never once thought he was Black. I was like, he's just, and then the title, from the title, like a Wigga never refers to an actual Black person. It never refers, number one, to a person who looks Black, in my opinion, or a person who I did not expect him to have a Black parent or even like have anybody. No, I immediately was like, okay, this is either someone who's like straight up posing, or like I was telling you, is culturally Black and got it honest, because like, look at where I'm growing up, and this is just in the first scenes, like not knowing anything. And then I'm listening to who I said, okay, so he's gaming. Like he's, this is like when you can talk to the people that you're playing against. And at first I thought that those guys were white guys that were like affecting, the Black scent too. But I was like, no, those sound like those were real Black guys. So I was like,
but
okay.
His voice sounded Black to me too. He's just the timbre. It didn't sound totally voice.
Black to me. But I don't know if that was because I could see him and like that was affecting like what I was saying. But I had already made up my mind about him. I was like, okay, Rich Wigga Poor Wigga. Okay, this guy is either just co-opting. But then when I heard who he was playing against, sometimes those people and sometimes you don't. I just assume, okay, he's culturally Black. And I was just laughing because I was like, wow, I was just talking to Nikki about this. Of course, my mind was further blown when I saw his dad, but then when I saw his friends, but by that time, I understood what was happening because by the time you see his friends, you've already met his dad. So my mind was just blowing. But what was still confusing me was still the Logan Paul, the such and such. So I was like, okay, wait, no, something else is happening here though. I took the title at face value and then, but I will say that what was on his wall gave me pause, because if you are someone who's culturally Black, you're not going to have so much white shit on your walls. You're going to go all in and have more Black things on your wall, because in your mind, except for the Post Malone thing, because like there's Black kids with that too, but like the Logan Paul, like that's what kind of made me like, well, something else is happening here. I mean, this is this show, but I never thought that he was Black. Not for one second. I didn't even think he sounded Black. He sounded like he was doing a Black voice. And the kids he was talking to, they sounded Black. Then when I saw his dad, for a second, my mind was a little bit twisted. And I thought they were doing a flip on the Justin Bieber thing. And I was like, okay, this is about to be a mystical realism for your ass. Like, is this like he's not... Like, no. I was confused until his dad made that nose comment.
So the couple of things, like, from the sound of his voice and then also his face, it did not look like a white boy face. It looked like a white passing face, but the only thing that really threw me off was like, oh, his hair. But the show was in black and white. The episode was in black and white. And so when I did, I can't watch the show and just not research. So the Logan Paul poster, I was like, why would Logan Paul be on the wall? I'm going to include in the show notes, there was a big story out about him talking about using his white privilege to speak out against racism and, during the BLM protests or whatever. But I think what was even more significant was that Logan Paul is a YouTube star, and so is Tyreek Withers, the actor that played Aaron. So if you look at a colored picture of Tyreek Withers, you can tell that he is biracial. He actually is about your complexion or a little bit lighter, and he tends to wear his hair a little bit more where you could tell he's ethnic. But he had his own YouTube channel. He's since washed all the videos, but he had 145,000 subscribers and over 3 million views. So now he's making his way as an actor, but he is obviously multiracial. His name is fucking Tyreek. But I can see why now the episode had to be in black and white, because he appears just as white as his white peers.
Which reminds me of Passing.
Yes.
And why she shot it that way. And that's what I was thinking about.
Yes.
Because I said, okay, so, but it's almost like that was percolating in my mind by the time they show him with his dad. Mm-hmm. It was like everything was, I was like realizing it at the same time. And I was like, or maybe he is. And that's why it's shot like this. So you usually do that if you're trying to enhance something. And just as I was thinking that, his dad was like, oh, you got your friends at school food, but your big ass knows it didn't come from your mom. And I was like, okay. Yeah. Okay. And then I kind of started to, because, you know, with this show, it's like you're thinking all these things, but you got to pay attention. I was like, okay, I need to watch this 3 more times.
All of the context clues around the room, though, if you slow it down, it does not necessarily confirm nor deny his blackness. He's kind of just existing in between. So in that moment, he does feel like a Wigga, you know, but Donald Glover has like applied a different concept of Wigga, you know, for us. Yeah. I did not appreciate his dad laughing about him not being able to afford to go to school.
I like how he will poke fun, you know, at us too. It isn't like a one-sided thing. Like, you know, this group, you know, is totally perfect, and this group, you know, they're complete demons. Because that attitude, that is something that has been in our community's conversation forever. Yes. The way that Black people treat their kids, you know, like when you're 18, you have to get out. Being 18 does not automatically mean that all of a sudden you got it all figured out. Mm-hmm. You are still a child. Just because the law says, oh, well, now you can vote, does not mean that you understand anything. Yeah. My child will not have to leave the house when she turns 18. You understand nothing. All it means is now you have a little bit more responsibility. My expectation of you has turned up a little bit. I'm going to expect you to make a couple more decisions, but I don't expect you to just know everything, because all that's going to mean is I'm setting you up to be a bigger burden on me later on and maybe come back with more people. Yeah. That is not what I'm going to do. So like that, and like it, you know, he was like, I told you to save. And it's like, but throwing it out there on him without giving him some goalposts and some benchmarks and some guides. You don't just tell a kid to save. Like,
he's a kid.
And did you find out how much the school was and then say, like, but you know, maybe tell him to save and then match what he's saving. Like, help him. Like, what are you talking about? Did you go to college?
He wouldn't even fill out the form. And it's like, you think that filling out a FAFSA form is automatically you signing over your life. No, it helps the child to evaluate what his financial options are. So he could do a work study program. He could.
There's so many other things.
There's so many.
There are so many things. And that pissed me off. Yeah, now, I will say.
So mad.
I will say, because we are currently dealing with this now with a family member. Even more than when we were going through it, loans are definitely pushed. They definitely act like there's nothing else out there. Yeah. We are going through this now. The grants, it's this much. Loans pushed way up there. So I understand the dad's thinking, but you can also tell that he hasn't looked into it for himself.
I'm wondering why he's passing, because he's just like, you know what? My family is poor and Black. You know, I have a better shot if I at least like gravitate towards this, if I leverage this, you know, and take advantage of all the privileges that come with it. So I'm just like, do I want to feel any pity for this kid? No, but right. He is having an American Black experience, because that shit happens to descendants of enslaved Africans.
And he doesn't have anyone around him. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you have to have that one person that has gone to college that can be like, let me tell you about it. Like, all it takes is like one person or one counselor who can kind of like, you know, kind of sweet talk a little bit, or like use the right words and just, you know, get your parents to, you know, let me just do this. Because a lot of it is parents basing it on their own experience, not understanding, what's things have changed. Now. You can say no to the loans, but you're right. Work study. And if his grades are good, like, can you try for scholarships?
Mm-hmm. Scholarships that are not necessarily like a Pell Grant. Like there's other organizations. Like we're talking about,
you got to seek stuff out.
You do have to seek stuff out, but it is hard navigating that. And my parents were aware, but even I faltered, and with awareness. So I'm just like, come on. And then it makes me question, like, what were the counselors telling this kid at school? Did he even know that he could go to a counselor for this guidance? And then also I'm just like, well, what was he hearing from his white friends? Because did he just assume they had money to go? They had money to pay for it? Didn't Kate she got in? But didn't she also get a scholarship?
Like no, they were getting loans. They were doing, she got partial scholarships because when she got in, and she said partial scholarships and loans, like they were all very, like, I appreciated that. He wasn't with kids that were like, my mommy Trust and daddies. Babies. They were like regular kids, because, when the announcement's made, they're elated because they're thinking we're not going to go into debt.
Yeah.
And that's why she, like, later when she says, you weren't filling out the FAFSA. So later when he's hugging her saying congratulations, and she says, scholarships, he's like, oh, that's great. And he asks for something, and she's like, well, it's partials. And so then the loans are going to take care of the rest. And I think it's the same for the boys. So they're all like regular, like grades are, her grades are obviously good enough to get partial scholarships. So probably not the kind that will give you a full ride. Or maybe she has a talent. Maybe she's a cheerleader. Like maybe she plays an instrument. You get to the part where they're listening to the news report about what happens to the kid. And this made me laugh, like it shouldn't have. But did you notice that they said a routine traffic stop in a parking lot?
Yeah. No. So that
I was like, what?
No,
that's in a parking lot.
No, that's a That's So Atlanta moment there, because he said it took place at Lenox Mall. Lenox Mall is like the mall of Atlanta. And let me see. Let me look up real quick. I'm pretty sure there's been a police shooting at Lenox Mall. I'm pretty sure. Everyone goes to Phipps Plaza because I think that's where Gucci, Tiffany and Co., Saint Laurent, Valentino, like all of the the brands are there. So everybody either goes to Lenox Square or Phipps Plaza. But yeah, that's very Atlanta, and people are forever getting shot at that mall. Whether it's being perpetrated by a cop, it's being perpetrated on a cop, being perpetrated by teenagers or whatever. Yeah, it's wild out there. I don't go there. I've been there before. I don't go there.
I wouldn't expect that at the upscale mall. That's so crazy.
Welcome to Atlanta.
Where the players play and the cops get shot like every day.
I was shocked because I was like, this fool's too scared to catch MARTA. He can't ride the MARTA bus or the MARTA train. Nigga.
But my thing is, why his daddy allow him to be like that then? I was like, I was a little aggravated. Like, I feel like this black man is like abdicating his responsibilities a little bit. And then it kind of like sent me into my own mental tangent. Number one, where the fuck is his mama? Are they divorced?
Yeah, where is his mom?
Where's his mom? Because so my first thing was like how, how they say, like, you can tell when it's a biracial child with a white mama from when it's a biracial child with a black mama, and how, with the one drop rule, whatever, regardless, you are what your mama is, because like that's who's doing like the bulk of the raising. So with that one, I was waiting for her to show up in some sort of way, because I was like, this boy is white. Like, yeah, we saw him gaming or whatever, but like he seems white, because just from his comments, like, I mean, the cops yelled freeze, and like they must have been doing something. I'm like, yeah, his mama mad white, but his daddy is sitting here and obviously talking real to him. He's not one of these black dudes where you're like, did you invent the sunken place? Like, why are you letting this? Because I just felt like from the way this boy is talking, have you never like learned him something? But no, because his dad is talking to him like,
yeah, like he tells him that real all the time. But some.
But at the same time, he was kind of hands off, like just how he was with the FAFSA. He was like, like he heard him say it, but he treated him like he was a white coworker, where it's like, yeah, you know what? Like I could tell you, but whatever, do you? But that's your son, though. And you setting him up to get knocked upside the head. That is literally your son. He obviously loves him, but he got like a crazy way of showing it. And he didn't strike me as the kind of brother that's like, you know, you went on and married a white woman, but like have forgotten who you are. He was a brother. Like he acted like, you know, all the typical ways that a brother would act. He was strange to me.
I have interviewed a couple of different people that they weren't from Atlanta, but I have known people in Atlanta through school and through my various networks or whatever, where they were the child, you know, they were biracial, and their white mom just gave them to the dad, or the dad's, the black family, whatever. They gave their black child that they had to the black family because they
didn't want,
they risked being disowned by their own family. So I don't know, like it seems
so
like,
why isn't he more black then? Like why was he still saying all that stupid shit?
Because still, like if it was going to benefit him to take it, look how he looks. Like I think it's really based on how he looks and whatever his experience was. And this kind of reminds me, this might not make the final edit, but this reminds me of my uncle's kids. Now they're not half white, but they're half Filipino. And so the problem that they had was that they had to always like really keep on affirming their blackness, their right to be black, their right to be accepted as black, even though they were obviously another. So sometimes with biracial kids who are like, okay, I want to claim blackness and everything, but blackness ain't claiming me because I don't fit the mold. So that might very well have been his experience. He might have attempted to be like, okay, I'm going to be black, but I got beat up. My biracial ex-husband, he got beat up every Black History Month in Detroit. He looked Mexican. And then they were extra mad at him because he got selected to portray Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the Dr. Martin Luther. That. No, they shouldn't have done that.
They should not have done that.
That's probably why he got beat up the very next month. Beat up. But all the other years he got beat up in February anyway. But he's
so black. These people just waiting until February to beat him up.
I guess. I mean, they accepted him. It cracked me up when he told me. I was like, yo.
They just like January 31st.
So what you do? You call it out sick all 28 days? So what about leap year? It's like we beating the white boy who's not actually white. He's biracial. Crazy. He got a black mama. You know, he did absorb the black culture. He had the timbre of his voice. You could tell he was black. I knew he was black when I saw him. You know, he looked like
they beat that shit into him. I bet he did.
He was not going to be able to help it. Growing up in his household, there's no telling like what might have happened between Lord. Aaron's parents to where he's with his black dad, but he's like, I'm not trying to be black because there's no benefit in it for me. There's no telling what could have happened to him. He could have gotten beat up every Black History Month because he was so white presenting.
Are you saying then, do his friends not know what his daddy looks like?
I don't think his friends know that
he's hide that all that time.
Well, you see, like when he got out of the car, there was no one else around, you know, and he wouldn't even say I love you back to his dad. Yeah, I know. And then the way that he even walked into school, he walks like a white guy. He was walking like a white guy. He
walked weird, like he was afraid of the door. He walked like he's never walked before.
Really. Yes, it was very strange.
Yeah, it was weird. But then obviously his dad doesn't usually drop him off though, because he missed the bus. Like his dad made sure to say that, because he said next time you're doing you're walking. And then he was like 4 miles, and he was like, well, we know you're too scared to take Marta. So his dad doesn't normally drop him off anyway. And the reason why there was nobody around was because he was late. So that's how it looks when the bell has rung.
Yeah. So he could be, and I know I've just recently seen articles or news about biracial kids. Oh, I think this was on Code Switch. I was listening to the Code Switch podcast. And so biracial kids who like feel like they need to pick a side, or they'll pick the white passing side, and then they have to go out of their way to hide the fact that their parent is this or that, like Imitation of Life, which we also mentioned previously. Okay, so we get to school. We've commented on the exchange about all the kids getting to ASC. Mm-hmm. Consequently, Arizona State University is the actual college.
Wait, and we did skip something though.
What's that?
When he's gaming with his with the black gamers.
Yeah.
They're going back and forth.
Oh, when he calls them niggers?
And then when he finds out that his girlfriend got into ASC,
yeah,
his attitude immediately changes. He calls them nigger hard R.
Yeah, hard R.
And then talks about like, go find your dad's, makes monkey sounds.
Yeah, and go eat.
Because I'm trying to remember why I was just so pissed at him in the truck. Like I was already pissed before he made the very white comments about the cops yell freeze. They had to have been doing something, because I was already like, fuck this little boy. He just used nigger hard R after not seeming like he would do that, all because you're upset about this text that you just got. Now you're completely switching because you are able to like switch who you are, and then makes the comment, and the way that they responded when he said the thing about find who your dads are, they obviously can't see him, so they thought he was black, and they were like, wait, what? Yeah, you know, and because like one of the guys was like, you know, I can't understand you because it's like your mom's here, she's got a dick in my mouth, or my dick in her mouth. Yeah. And then he was like, when he said like, the thing about his dad, he's like, where do you live? Yeah. He's like 565 Fuck You Avenue, which was a very white comeback. And so they imitated him like 565, and which was like, black guy wouldn't say that. No. Like you thought that was so clever, that was so corny. So they were like 565 Fuck You Avenue. Like, okay, like maybe like at that point they were like, okay, this is a white dude.
That even makes me appreciate this actor more, because that with my ex-husband, he switched back and forth when it suited him, you know, and when there was any emotional trigger, he would resort to the white supremacist side of himself. Yes. You know,
and I think that's what makes me hate it. And it's like, I guess that's like privilege you have, but that's why I was so angry at him. Like, and I did have the sympathy. Well, it was less about sympathy for him and more anger at his dad with like how he acted with the FAFSA thing. Cause I was still pissed at the little boy.
So we get to school, they have the little interaction. He has the interaction with his white classmates. And then they go to this assembly in the auditorium where we have Kevin Samuels as Robert Shea Lee.
That was him, right?
Yeah, that was him.
Okay. So just like with the Chet Hanks person, I was like, that dude looks like Kevin Samuels, but it was him. It just was like Kevin in Samuels. The other one, I was like, that dude looks like he's supposed to be Chet Hanks, and then to find out, no, that was Chet Hanks.
Yeah, these cameos,
which is so crazy that he's dead.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I love how Robert Lee effectively said, "If it wasn't for me, your hair would be nappy as hell."
dry as hell. He said as dry as
the Texas something.
Lava. I just liked how they put that song. First of all, there was a long pause, just like a janky public access show.
Yeah.
She said his name, and I was like, what's going on?
Nobody clapped because nobody knew who the fuck he was. Performance. No one
like
cared.
Somebody was like on their phone, like, ooh.
But you know, it was kids who were in control of the audio. And he probably said, yeah, just put on something cool. And they're like, all right, loose ends.
I feel like he said, play
put on loose ends.
That was old. No, them children ain't have nothing. If the kids had put it on, it would have been something like, you know.
But you know how, like, if this school has a radio station program, right? Then they have a lot of like, not bumpers, but they have a lot of music beds, you know, that they have license for. So it could have been that was a music bed that they have access to. Like, they probably got the audio kids.
I just feel like this motherfucker, if you look at his age, that's what was hitting when he was in the club.
It does fit, but yeah, so he could have requested it, but it also
that nigga travels with that music. It's like, I'm gonna get you, sucker. Somebody that old ass man in the tracksuit walks behind him and plays that music.
Oh, George Wallace, the comedian George Wallace.
Yes, yes, him. Like, that's his music. That's his walking around music. Best believe that nigga is like, all right, we're about to walk down the street. Play the music. All right, Chief. He
mind having my own theme music, like walking down the street. I just want to make sure that all of our viewers know that there was no Robert Lee associated with Luster's pink oil hair moisturizer that was created by Fred Luster and the Luster family, Black-owned business out of Chicago. Maybe they have a rich relative or descendant, you know, who has done things like this in the community. I will have to research that. But yeah, there's no Robert S. Lee affiliated with pink oil hair moisturizer.
I have to say, Kevin Samuels, God rest his soul, no fucking idea. He did a good job.
No, he did a good job. I believed him
in this role. You know, this role of, you know, slightly cooning.
Yeah.
Mwah.
I believed him in this role. I laughed so hard when he made the announcement. I'm donating $1 million. I'm changing the name of the school, and I'm paying for all the Black kids to go to college.
Well, so I like how he did it. I'm paying for the graduating seniors, and then he let it sit, and he was like, for the Black kids. Like he let everybody get excited. Some of the Black kids. I was like, you petty motherfucker. Everyone
cheered, but then the Black people were like, yes.
I love it. Extra sweet. Because
yes. Oh my goodness, that was so satisfying.
Oh my God.
Then you go out to the hallway. These kids are talking about, we go to lunch or whatever. They're sitting at lunch. These kids were talking about suing for discrimination. And see, this
peak whiteness. Peak whiteness.
Yes. Okay. The girl, Kate, talks about Black people already going to school for free and then mentions a basketball scholarship. So this reminded me of a Black woman that I knew in Atlanta who believed that all Native Americans were wealthy because they all own casinos. That's not the truth.
That's some ignorance.
That's not the truth. A lot of people are ignorant about a lot of racial history in America. And it's being made worse by the fact that Governor Kemp just signed into law this restricting how race and racism is taught in Georgia schools, right? I will post an article in the show notes about the Black teachers' response to that. You know, it's not happy. But it's like this lack of knowledge about the history of racial dynamics. Oh, weren't Black people doing that back in the 50s, suing for discrimination? We're doing it today because the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow and all that shit is still having a profound effect on everything that pertains to our lives, like everything. But they don't know that. They don't. And their parents aren't telling them anything about them because likely their parents don't know either. And why should they? Mm-hmm. So it reminded me of that. Aaron is well acquainted with this situation because it looks like he was good at playing baseball, but is he going to ASC on a baseball scholarship? No, he's not. And he's Black. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's not getting a free ride to college just because he's Black. You know,
seems to me like he chose the wrong side.
Yeah, he chose the wrong side. But again, we know he's capable of switching back and forth. So
exactly. So why didn't you do that earlier? You could have got your little Caesar haircut and been doing this shit before. You chose wrong, honey.
He's a kid, number one. And again, considering like what we know about his dad, you know, maybe he thought that was the only way. I don't know. But he's still aware that he can switch back because he does go to this fucking Black people audition. Before he goes to the audition, it made me laugh because what the Black kids put on Cardi B's Money?
Yeah,
they put
money.
They put on that Money.
They were just celebrating like we will celebrate.
Yes.
When we're celebrating about something, it's just
yeah,
we're gonna celebrate and we're gonna get on your nerves. Like
she said, "Thank you, Jesus."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh my God,
like, oh my God, you have to be so loud." Yes, motherfucker.
Yes. Yeah. Because if it were the other way around, would you gloat and celebrate? Of course they would.
It's like, well, I mean, you know, like I don't think that it's easy. Because like somebody said, oh, it's so easy. And you know, she relates the story like one of those lies that just gets repeated where she's like, you know, he got accepted into all of his first of all, she made that sound like there was something nefarious about that. He got accepted into all of his colleges, maybe because of the grades, but no, she made that sound like that was some kind of like scheme.
Yeah,
he got
got
accepted into all of his colleges,
mm-hmm.
and then he's probably like, you know, like he just goes for a year and then went straight to the NBA. It was all just bullshit. Oh, they have it so easy. And he's like, I'm pretty sure it's not easy for all of them. And you know, it was just like, y'all are all you're just spouting things. And then I think he said, like, what was his name? And like she couldn't furnish a name.
Couldn't furnish a name. They just kind of made up like a quintessential black
sounding
name.
But they already, in my opinion, seemed like a little suspicious of him. Because it's like they're all fussing about it. And like one of his friends, which reminded me again of the reparations episode, where his friend was like, aren't you upset about this? And this scene, the guy was like he said something like, isn't this fucked up? Or like, it's almost like, how come you're not showing outrage like us? I forget like what the exact wording was, but they were like, this is so fucked up. And he was like, isn't it fucked up? Like, it's like, why are you so concerned that like somebody isn't fussing exactly like you?
Because they want you to be on the team. But that's a whole nother topic, and I don't even want to go through that. There's a whole. They want you to be like
that mob. In the Socks episode, where it's like, come on, like let's go attack the Asian chick, and like let's
if you're gonna be
like a torch bearing mob.
Yeah, we want you to be on the
KKK.
Team. So I think it's so. That's why part of the reason why it's so hard to break free from them. Because of the benefits, and also you have to belong. You're supposed to belong, or else you get worse punishment than a black person would, or equivalent punishment. So there's some history related to that too. The way that they used to punish white people when they stood up for black people. Oh yeah,
it was lover.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's just like Clayton Bigsby at the end of the Dave Chappelle thing. He punished himself. No. He
punished his wife for being married to a nigger lover.
That's a dedicated motherfucker.
Yeah. But again, he is right in the middle because he doesn't really push back against them, but he doesn't really like go hard for black folks either. He's just kind of in the middle, and that in itself, I'm black. I've always been perceived as black. Has never been a problem for me. So, but I don't want to diminish what experience he's going through because it's still a hard one. And it's still a hard one. And it's an unreasonable one. Yeah. It's an unreasonable experience to have. Why can't we just all be accepted as humans and being respected as humans, no matter what color we are, whatever, how we culturally identify or what we're drawn to? It's just ridiculous. So he goes to his audition. He lies about going to the audition, but he
says that he's going to go do the FAFSA.
Yeah. He goes to the audition. This was one of my favorite scenes between the kids harmonizing the Shy song, and then everybody in that stairwell is kind of portraying some aspect of blackness, including the guy getting his hair braided, the dude shirtless, like like what are you doing?
Are you the dude from Black Eyed Peas? Like the Filipino dude?
The Asian dude spinning the basketball on his finger, like, yo, I got to be black if I'm doing this. I'm Asian.
Globetrotters?
Yes.
Like, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, the way the Indian dude was like, hey, could you check my waves? Like, but the fact that he knew what ADOS is, I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
So I posted a link in the show notes what ADOS is, with an interesting article on their take about reparations. But yeah, that whole scene was hilarious, and the entire way through the Shy song playing, because that's like the blackest song.
Yes. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that song in forever.
Yeah.
It's just like, it took me back, because when it switched that, I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on right now? But it also caused me to rewatch the scene where he was looking at those two girls dancing. I was like, black people.
Oh, on the Instagram?
Money, because and they cut the scene off, but when he scrolls past them, you can see the top of the next video. And it looks like it's the Indian guy. Like, it looks like that's where he finds out that there are black auditions being held. They don't show it. But if you look at it really quickly, it looks like the dude with the wave cap on. Like, he might, because that's when he gets up and says, I got to go see about my FAFSA.
I love how older black people always know who's biracial, even if they're passing to everybody else, like, all right, Redbone, come on over here.
And Redbone, I was like, oh, that's a Childish Gambino song. Redbone. Stay woke. I said, oh, that's his song. That's my favorite Childish Gambino song.
Oh goodness.
Which I don't understand why it's called Redbone, because as far as I know, they make no reference to that unless I missed something it just reminds me of Get Out. It's like the song that's playing when that movie starts.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know. The series of questions this tribunal poses to him, also hilarious. No, I didn't ask you what happened to that boy at Lenox Mall. I said what happened to that boy at Lenox Mall. The answer was
I was like, yes, that is the answer.
Yes,
that is the answer. That is the answer, because I didn't know right off. Because like when he said it, I was like, I have a feeling that they don't want the actual details.
Yeah, no.
I feel like it's gonna be something that's like, all right, nigga.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. I like the things that mix for Hennessy, and so I googled it, and I was gonna link to it. Like when you did Google,
yes, I googled the same thing. I was like, I would not have answered that question correctly because I only knew 3.
I was like Coke. And
then
I don't drink Hennessy.
No, it's Coke, it's tonic, and that hypnotic. So like
what a Q. I like how he was spelling like one of the names like QU. I was like, yep, that's the name. I'm a T.
And then he does say the price is on the can.
Yes. I love them. Just pull out all your old scripts, why don't you? I love it. I loved it.
Oh yeah, the fact that they said like, you reminded me of this white boy I knew, Clarence Thomas. Yes.
When they said he didn't have to say that, I was like, I love it.
But
like, you didn't have to do that. But that was like,
he goes home, but it's just amazing to me that what drives him over the edge is Kate, the idea of Kate potentially hooking up with a black dude at ASC.
And you real white now.
Yeah, because you're just like, I'm going to target all this rage and destroy a school. Like
over a white woman.
Over a white woman. Now, he gets there. He walks there. What I noticed that before Felix even said anything, this nigga just walking down the street.
Walking around with a flamethrower.
But you know what? That shit is the truth too. If you are white, you can get away with doing some really like obviously heinous stuff, but no one will suspect it because you don't fit the description. You know, a criminal looks a certain way in America.
But see, when I see white men doing anything, they fit the description to me.
Yes, them to me as
look
well.
Dangerous as hell to me.
Yes, I like, and I feel like most black people will agree.
And I'm like, what that white boy about to do?
Yo, do I clutch my purse when a white person comes close to me?
Sure
yes,
do.
I sure do.
Sure do.
Do I
you
lock
about to
my
blame
door?
Me?
Yes. Do I lock my door when they come close to the car? Yes, I do. I make sure they see that I just locked it. You know, there's too many.
I will unlock and lock. Like I won't.
There are too many things that they have gotten away with because they don't fit the description. So I'm just like, yo, you seem like you might be crazy because I know your people. I've studied your history. You do wild things for really strange reasons. Ooh, that reminds me of this woman here in Georgia. She went to the store. I think I posted it on Facebook. She went to the store looking for prophylactics and just started going crazy.
Yeah, because somebody said, one of your friends said, well, at least she's not trying to procreate. And then and then I posted the gif with the guy going, right? Yes. Yeah. How to find that silver light. That was the perfect gif, which led me to, what would the internet be without us? Because this is white guy going,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it said what needed to be said. Anyway, when he encounters Felix, I laughed because it was like, oh, okay. And I said, I bet you this dude is Nigerian. Sure enough, this is where Felix made his first mistake to me. Like, if he did the audition, this is where he messed up. He said Lithonia. It's Lithonia.
Which sounds like somebody's auntie. Lithonia Jenkins.
It's Lithonia.
Of Second Baptist.
Like it's Albany. It's not Albany. It's Albany.
Oh, really? So that's like Callio. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just New Orleans. Okay. I thought it was just us down here that just like, nah. We just gonna mess everything up.
It's like the town I grew up in, Vallejo, it's supposed to be Vallejo. It is. Ain't nobody gonna say that.
Really? Oh, that makes sense because, okay.
Yeah. And just like Buena Vista is supposed to be Buena Vista, not Buena Vista.
Okay, now I've never heard Buena Vista. Buena Vista, yeah, but that's pretty.
Folks, y'all from up north, y'all know Buena Vista, especially my Detroiters. It's Buena Vista, but yeah, I've gotten into an argument over that. It's Buena Vista, nigga.
I cannot talk because Burgundy.
You know, I used to call Decatur Decatur because I just thought it sounded cooler.
Oh no.
Yes, it's Decatur.
I'd be like,
My dad said, where are we driving to? Hercules? I'm like, no, Dad, it's Hercules.
Oh.
The exchange between Aaron and Felix, everything that we've been talking about, it was a very simple exchange. You know, first there was some there was some congeniality going on there, because like, oh, you're here to burn down the school too. Oh, they told you weren't Black as well. So they are having a similar experience where they're being shut out.
Yeah. So Aaron says, oh, I can see it.
But it's true.
Yeah.
First, he said Lithonia instead of Lithonia. But then what he said about, well, you have culture. You know where you came from. You know, you have that history to drop on. Yeah. Just like I said in the last episode, probably when he went home to his parents, he was in Nigeria. He was not still in a Black American household at home. So they're just not seeing things in the same way. So I get what Aaron was saying, and many Black folks have made that argument. At the same time, what Felix said was true too. Like, we just saw,
you look like Frankie Muniz. He said, I had a simple mind by the dumpster. I bet you just walked over here with your bargain basement flamethrower. Yeah,
exactly. He says, when I get stopped by the police, they don't ask if I'm African or not. I'm Black to them. You know, just like
that's what made me appreciate him, because he understands that, but some of his people don't.
They've never experienced it though. Some of them have never experienced, especially those of an older generation, or they think that because they speak with an accent, then cops do treat them differently. Isabel Wilkerson mentioned this in her book. So they're like,
but he obviously doesn't, because like he said, he was born there but was raised here. He doesn't have the experience of having lived there and then coming here.
Yes.
And feeling like he is better.
Yeah, so. But he did not pass the audition,
because like you said, at his house, it's Little Nigeria.
It's a different culture. He has a different culture. So they were both telling the truth. You know, what did I write? This relates to Blackness among us. Who's appropriating it? Who is exploiting it? Who has a right to it? Because besides the mispronunciation of Lithonia, this kid, Felix, was saying nigga too. He was saying nigga, motherfucker. You know, he was using the Black vernacular. So,
and then Aaron makes a comment about his skin color.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, we took it there too, because colorism though among us, you know, it's a problem. You know, I've seen those dark skin versus light skin memes online all the time. The light skin Prince memes are my personal favorite because those shits are funny, but it's still like based on this colorism thing. You know what I'm talking about when they're like how light skin guy wipes his mouth and it's Prince going, yeah. It's funny to me because of Prince. But the whole colorism thing, like, well, you too light to be Black. You know, your privilege, your white appearing privilege allows you to have a better experience. No, it's a different experience. It's still a fucked up one. And you certainly don't make it better by then adding insult to injury. It's like, oh, you're burnt? Really? I remember being called burnt by a white kid in kindergarten. So for it to come out of somebody's Black mouth, white presenting or not, like, yo, that's why Felix was like, yeah, I'm gonna burn you.
But here's the thing though. But here's the thing. Felix doesn't know that this boy is Black, is white presenting.
He does know.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't say that, does he?
The fact that he says you look like Frankie Muniz, you know, he knows. They are aware of each other's Blackness. They are aware. That's the impression I got.
I did not get that impression at all.
Because I think that if Felix thought that Aaron was a white boy, he would have called him a bunch of white boys. He still
I figured
he
was just, I took that as you just mad that this man is paying for the niggas to go to school and not all the seniors. I didn't.
No,
because he made a comment about his whiteness by saying, I bet you just walked over here with yours and didn't have to hide it.
But he looks that way. It's a comment of how he looks. So
I didn't see that.
I saw it because it's so reflective of what actually goes on in the Black community among the other ones who are thinking like, oh, you have it harder. No, you have it harder. No, I deserve to have this and you don't, and all this other shit. It's this crabs in the barrel thing. We're all in the fucking barrel. Racism is being used as a tool against us, myriad ways, but it's still being used as a tool. So that's the impression that I got. And then of course, he chases him through. It's very horrific, very horror filmish, him laughing. You hear him all through the school. And then finally, they catch up to each other, or Felix catches up to Aaron.
And he says, this is where the Black kids eat, because he goes right back to that same spot where they were at lunch, and Felix is on top where they were like dancing and celebrating. And that's that scene when, when they shoot him. Of course, they don't say freeze until after they've shot him. And then they say freeze to Aaron. Yeah. And Aaron actually looks shocked. And it's like, okay, yes, the cops do say freeze, like you said earlier in the episode, but notice they said it after they shot him. They said freeze to you, stupid ass.
Yeah. And so his dad's wish for him comes true in that moment. I just wish you would have an encounter with the cops so you can see how it is. Yeah. And I think it was smart for him to have an encounter with the cops with someone who is obviously Black, so
that he can't use that whole, well, maybe you can't back out of this one.
Yeah.
And I am glad that the cops did say freeze, like he said, but he got to see how it happened. Yeah. Because watching it 3 times, like those cops did not say freeze until after they had already pulled the trigger. Like, because that nigga doesn't mean anything. Exactly. Oh, we took care of that. We said freeze though for this other person that we see.
Yes. So anyway, does he still end up going to the jail or getting some sort of punishment for his involvement? Yeah, he showed up at the school with a flamethrower, but so he gets put into the police car and taken away. But them loading Felix into the ambulance, Robert Lee comes out and is like, oh, getting shot by the police, that's the blackest thing you could do. Take care of him.
First he's like, oh, my school.
Yeah.
I mean, comes out, he's saying his school, but if you just worry about the sign, which was stupid ass. Very close
only
to
the sign got damaged. And the fact that his last name was Lee. We've been talking about Lee for a while.
Name the school that you're making it seem like it's not that much difference from Stonewall Jackson. You stupid ass. You could have named it something like Perseverance High or something.
But look, stupid name. There's so many Black people named Lee though. Like I said,
I get it, but and I know that that's a part of the joke. But this nigga was worried about that damn sign. Like he's like. Yeah, what school? And then he comes go, oh man, shot police, that man, that's the blackest thing you gotta, like, this nigga is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Much like Kevin Samuels was ridiculous. We're not gonna go there. But yeah, the sign was the only thing that suffered any real damage. But the Felix was like, yes, sir.
He was so happy. And he was like, man, he was paying your medical bills.
Yeah. Notice Robert Lee tells him, make sure you take him to White Grady. The guy says, Emory?
He's like, White Grady.
Yeah, which is Emory's definitely the hospital you want to go to if you need critical care. Not Grady. A lot of folks die at Grady. Yeah. Just a completely different person. The way he was standing, what kept cracking me up is him brushing his hair.
It was like a tick.
Yes, it made me laugh because, oh my goodness, you know how many guys you've seen do that. Like it's so familiar.
Yeah, he reminded me of Preston.
Yes, it was so familiar. I thought about my brother. I thought about my dad even at a certain point when he was waving up. And then the other day I was trying to show OC how to brush his hair forward.
Like I appreciate it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is familiar.
Yeah, I don't know if he specifically needs to do this because it doesn't seem like he has the type of hair that needs that. I feel like you put a little pomade on it, it should probably lay down pretty good, but who knows?
I mean, if he's trying to train it, yeah, he does. If he wants to get it primed to where, I'm assuming he's doing all that because later on that night, he's going to tie it up real good with a do-rag so it can wave up. Like, I really don't know, but if he's trying on blackness, that is a major, like, it's like if it were a Harry Potter costume, like that is his wand. He does need that. I'm glad that he's not a cashier because he can't check nobody out with that doggone brush.
No. He had the line in his cut. He's all lined up. He's clean.
It was perfect.
Yeah, his hair looked clean. Had the gold chain around his neck. Did he have piercings in his ears?
I don't remember seeing that, but everything, like, it was no perfect. I was more comfortable with him looking like that. I appreciated it. To say one more thing about the previous scene, even though he was sitting like, he was in the cop car, I still thought that it was interesting, and it was also very true to life how, yeah, he's in the police car, like it's obvious, like he's getting taken away in the police car while the other one is leaving in the ambulance, but he still looked like he was being guarded and protected in the police car. Like they put him in, but before that, he's sitting there, and it's more like they're flanking him. Like, he just seemed like he was being protected. And I guess we're supposed to think, like, yes, he's in the back, and obviously, like, something happens. They don't show us what happens, like if he serves time or whatever. I'm assuming, yeah, he did.
It looks like he got a slap on the wrist, because if he's out on probation with a job, a year later, the fact that he was able to get a job,
whatever, right? But he was sitting in the back of that police car, like, at the end of every action movie where you're just sitting in the back of a police car because the police were there and you needed to sit down because they're still standing outside as if someone tries to rush him, the cops are there. It didn't look like he was going to be taken away until, they put the rest of him in the car. It still just reminded me of when that boy went into the church, killed those people, and then they stopped at Burger King.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I just said every time they take away some serial killing white guy that's gone on a rampage or whatever, there's always several officers flanking them.
Yeah, and it feels like welfare. It feels like this person is still a citizen. But you could have like a nigga who was in a car, maybe, which is the thing that really happened in the parking lot of a library, just kind of, I was just taking a break, like I was chilling, didn't murder anybody, just sitting, and that person's dead. But anyway, so he's like at a Best Buy or whatever, and talking, his game is strong, with a local Black girl, and just doing all the bullshit, like, they don't pay me enough to tell you that. I mean, just doing all the
things.
I mean, he's
full on.
He's a good study. I mean, like maybe he learned it from his buddies that he used the hard R with a year prior. And
his daddy is Black. He's had a model at home the entire time.
I guess, but I mean, but that he's had a model at home, but that nigga not all the way. He don't sound like that. He sounds like a typical nigga. He does interact with actual Black people. I don't know about in person, but on those games he does. I would say he gets that kind of vernacular from his gaming friends. He just looks like Aaron. Like she looks rightfully like
she was feeling him so hard. She was feeling him. She's just like, what is happening to me? What is happening inside of my body?
She was, but she did look a little bit like, but again, this to me kind of confirms that, he may have been hiding his dad from his friends, but I feel like they've had conversations when he wasn't around. I feel like they kind of suspected because when he wasn't giving them the same smoke And when he got up and said, I'm going to check on my FAFSA, she was looking at him. And she was also looking at his phone. She was looking at him look at his phone, which is another thing that made me wonder if she saw him see something before he got up. But like, you know, she just suspected. When he was like, I am so attracted to you just now, I'm like, oh God. She reacted to him like all those white girls act when they get attention from a black man.
He said, I have never been so attracted to you as I am now in this moment. Yeah, she fell, and then she just got all slick. Yeah, she was real open.
And she looked like all of those girls look when Devontae, the star player of the basketball team, is showing them some attention. She was already attracted to him before when he was white, and now is even more. But what, even as pissed as I was with him, because he got on my nerves this entire episode, sympathy or no sympathy, I laughed my ass off the way he broke the fourth wall and looked at the camera. That shit was funny. And then music dropped. That was hilarious. Because that I will never be able to hear that song in the same way again. When he just looked like chapter 2, y'all.
Young Buck. I wanted to make sure I pointed this out. Because I guess we're gonna go into our elements, right? Before we go into the elements though, the poster of Young Buck was incredibly interesting to me because I'm just like, why is that there? And I'm wondering if, because this is Earned Subconscious, if this is a dream episode, and we're in Earned Subconscious, then the fact that Young Buck is beefing with 50 Cent, because Young Buck was a part of G Unit, and he declared bankruptcy after there was this online beef going back and forth between him and 50, where 50 accused him of having a relationship with a transgender person. So I'm just like, okay, was that intentional? Like, there's no way they just like, yeah, let's just slap this Young Buck poster on this guy's wall. And also have a trans actress in the previous episode interacting with Paperboy, you know, our main protagonist. I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and I wanted
and the whole the cancel thing and the and that thread that we keep coming back to with wondering about Paperboy and like some of the angst and the turmoil, like, and then like finding out a few episodes ago, like, is he who he wants to be, and what is he worried about? Like what is he worried about as far as being canceled or not being accepted for like who he really is? Just all of those things that seem to be sort of like under the surface, you know, like if you are forced to deal with your subconscious, whether it comes out in your dreams or via getting high, it usually will surface when you're not able to be guarded. Yeah. So like, what is he saying? Because I mean, in that episode, White Jazz, you know, we're dealing with Paperboy's subconscious, not Earn's. So yeah, all of that.
You know what I thought of last weekend? I just thought of like, it was all a dream, you know? So if it could be this entire series, like just going back to the first episode, we've all been living in one of the characters, maybe Earn's dream world. That
wouldn't it be hilarious, Reed, maddening if the next season is them actually boarding the plane?
Oh wow, yeah.
I hope they don't do that. The only reason why I don't think that they would do that is because they don't do it, like anything that's conventional, even the unconventional, conventional things. I can't see them doing. I really do believe that they have leveled up. And but that, like, because of what we know about Earn, from whatever happened to him that even sparked this entire show, like that, these are things that plague him, of just like, who am I in this country? And now we're seeing like how the origins of this country being affected by like outside of this country, because all the people that established this country come from outside of this country. And like, how did this stuff start? You know, like basically visiting all the countries that are, as you know, I've said before, like the grandpappies of racism. Like actually, like we can point to like, well, that's in Europe. It's like, yeah, but all those motherfuckers that settled here came from there. And like now, like we just have our own special brand, but the precursors came from abroad. So we're seeing how all of those things are of a piece. So, you know, I do think that even if I don't think it's all a dream, like I really do believe that when we're overseas, we are truly like overseas. That is the current state of things, but constantly running in the back of his mind are all of these very real things. And it's just a brilliant way of showing how even just like we as Black people, we talk about this constantly. We are living in this world and taking care of our families and taking care of our kids, but constantly just as non-white people,
yeah,
these things are constantly running in the backs of our minds because we are forced. We don't have the privilege of like, oh, well, I'm not a political person. I like to just try to rise above, because we don't have those things that insulate you, which is usually your color or your financial situation. We don't have those things to, you know, white folks do, but increasingly they can't run away, which is why we now have these stupid ass rules about like, don't say gay or like, don't say race, because they're being forced to look at it. And so now they're like fortifying themselves. But anyway, let's get into the elements.
Okay, so you're not so Atlanta.
The Lenox Mall shooting. And just because I heard Lenox Mall and I was like, oh, that's so Atlanta, because I know what Lenox Mall is. I did not know that so many shootings took place at what I know is an upscale Lenox Mall, because all I could buy there was probably some dumb.
Oh no, they'd be having sales.
No, I'm talking about at the time that I went, and I was very young, and I was just like, ooh, this for rich people. I can go in there now and be like, oh, I know how to conduct myself. But when I went the last time, I was like, oh, I see what's happening here.
I also had shooting at Lenox Mall, and then the white Grady being Emory. You have to know Grady, you have to know Emory. Very Atlanta. Of course, there were no Dariusisms in this episode because Darius wasn't there. Mystical element. I had the notion of auditioning to prove one's cultural competency in Blackness. It was just like, can you imagine doing that? You know, and I got a little nervous because I was just like, okay, yeah, am I Black? Yeah, I am. But I could not answer the 6 mixers with Hennessy thing because I only knew 3. And then like if Neo's hat gets any lower, what will it be on? His waist or what? Like,
I figured his big upper lip, like
his chin, like it could be any one of those things. So I was just like, oh, what if my answer is not Black enough? But then I also thought about like the ways in which we also challenge each other's Blackness all the time. You're no longer invited to the cookout. You're getting your Black card revoked or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're also gatekeepers for that. Why?
Because we like to be exclusionary. I didn't put too much. Like, I don't know. I think like I've been involved with so many brainstorming sessions and like writing sketches on this type of thing that like I've seen how it's like, okay, that's what you think, but whatever. Like when I don't know something, it's just like I have seen things happen where it's like, that's from your perspective because you're this type of Black. Like I didn't put too much. Like there were some things where it's like, who talks about that? Like whatever. Like you know, like Hennessy, I don't even drink Hennessy, so I'm not going to know this. And I'm Black as hell. Next.
It's like if in the make-believe world, in a situation where we would have, how many of us would actually be deemed Black? Would we pass? Would we get a 100%? And it just goes to say what we were talking about before. It is still made up. It is a cultural creation, but it's what we decided to be. And the fact that the Black experience is not a monolith. You know,
it isn't.
The California Black experience is not the same as the Georgia Black experience. It's not the same as the Louisiana Black experience. So like, why are we subjecting ourselves to that type of scrutiny to define what is and isn't Black enough?
Because humans like to exclude. And I know that because I like excluding as a Scorpio.
Like, I get it. And so when I'm being excluded, I'm just like, okay, I'll let you have it, because there's a bunch of stuff that I've already crossed you. Like, okay, whatever. Next, like, Neo, okay. Like I just like take the attitude of like, well, I don't drink Hennessy, so I'm not gonna be on your little Hennessy club. And there's a bunch of things that I like. I just thought it was funny. Like, I loved like rewinding it and trying to type as many questions as I could and just cracking up. Like, because some of the stuff I identified with, and some of it I was like, I don't know. I don't.
When he said the satin pillowcase, I'm just like, yeah.
I was like, mm-hmm. Why did the 5 heartbeats break up? See, I don't know, probably because David Ruffin, because it's always, or that actor, David Ruffin, Leon. Because it's always Leon.
But I've never seen that movie, so like, I have yet to see that movie. Or
and that's somebody be like,
your black card, Again, like, why do we do this? We don't need to do that.
But I also haven't seen a lot of things because of extreme Christianity.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with black. It's just, but then it's the type of Christianity my parents chose. Decidedly a non-black type. Like, the very type that was like, we love slavery. The very type that started schools that were called segregation schools. So it's like
the type of schools that Aaron would have gravitated to if he had his choice.
Like, they literally started because schools were desegregating, and that's where I was. So it's like, and this is the last thing I'll say about the black cards. There is also a part of me deep down inside, and I know that other Southern Blacks, I don't know if they'll admit it or not, but there's a part of me that also feels like, y'all can argue about this all y'all want, but I'm from the South, and I feel like none of y'all niggas from other parts of the country is right anyway, because we didn't.
So wrong.
Fuck you.
So wrong.
Y'all was looking for other signs, and we stayed right with the original. I don't care about history. Like, there is a part of that, and maybe I'm the only one that feels like that. I don't think so. I think that maybe not a lot of people articulate that, but there is a part of me that just feels like, yeah, when you come down to the South to visit your cousins that's down here, we the real ones. So shut up.
I was just telling my friend, like Atlanta is synonymous with black, but I'm like, I think New Orleans is actually blacker because of the proximity to West Africa. It's the West African connection is so evident there, where it's here, but it's cloudy. It's cloudy, and it's been kind of like, I don't know, it's been fucked with a little bit for whatever reason. But anyway.
Well, but then also, so I'll give you this, because I've always thought of like if you take the NFL out of it, I have always thought of like Atlanta as being super black, because to me it is it's the progression from the West African. It's like new black. It's the progression, like unapologetically, sort of like what I always say that I saw in like you and the twins, and like when I would meet black people from other parts, where it's like, ooh, black mayor, black, like just blackity black, but like dead in the middle of the South. It's like corporate, like what I loved about the movie Boomerang when I saw it, where it's like everybody black, like there's regular black, there's running the company black, and New Orleans is like, this is where we came from, and still like you can see the connection. And then Atlanta is kind of like where we're going, because I am just now realizing, like how I say, like, this is the woke season, and I'm seeing the connection, like, oh, wow.
But I think like what this episode and this whole entire season is really trying to drive home is that, like I said, blackness is not monolithic. There are all forms of it, and we need to reconcile that among us, before we can even start to try to
fight
change.
the other ones.
Yes. Yeah. We do have to correct that within ourselves. SGR, what was your SGR?
Oh, so I had two, because I wrote one down while watching it. So my first one was when was George Wallace was like, "You white? I knew you was white when you first walked in there." It was like, okay, shit is getting real for Aaron right here.
Yeah.
But then when we progressed and Felix got shot, it was just like, you know, that was an SGR for me, for Felix as well. But it was just like, oh, whoa, like here's what, like, yeah, like this is what would happen. This is what is happening now. So
yeah, I had when Felix got shot, because I'm just like, there's no way these two kids are just gonna run around this school and burning up stuff and nothing's gonna happen. So yeah, and that was the reality check. So hey, we got through this episode.
we did.
Yeah, season finale next week. Thank you for watching. Rappin Atlanta is recorded and produced by Nita Sharice and Nikki Ebro. Our theme music is Joy Clark's Galaxy Groove, performed by Joy Clark. Discover more about this talented artist at joyclarkmusic.com. Rappin Atlanta's artwork is created by Prime Vice Studios. Learn more about this intellectual property development agency at primevice.com. You can find us on your favorite podcast player as well as YouTube. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and follow Rappin Atlanta on Twitter and Instagram at Rappin Atlanta.